When we talk in the clinic to a patient, of course, depending on the patient you're seeing, some of them coming from the community, it's very hard for them to understand even when you talk about the next generation sequencing. What you talk with them is that what's your goal? Is your goal is to get the standard of care versus you want to have extra miles, and your family can support you go through that, and you have the tough in mind to fight. If that is latter, and I always have something beyond the standard of care, and we all know that current clinical care, the standard of care coming from yesterday's clinical trial.
That's a great point. I think I always tell patients that the clinical trial offers the latest and greatest new treatment for patients, and it's through a lot of work from the laboratory and through a lot of testing and a lot of quality assurances that that the clinical trial came about. And one of the things that I always like to coin is that the clinical trials should be the new standard of care.
New standard of care.
Because you have your standard of care, and the clinical trial tries to improve upon that. And so it's trying to be the new standard, and that's what patients would have access to at Markey because of the latest and greatest trials that are available. And I think with our comprehensive status, that's going to really drive home the ability to perform more trials, reach our community in a better way, and hopefully bring the access of treatments to our patients.
So I tell the patient this is the era of precision medicine. This process getting more and more efficient in the sense that when we pick a lot of times, although it's an early stage trial, they're already getting benefit. Like say from phase 1, and the immunotherapy is so different from say even 5 years ago. So patients are more likely to get benefit. Obviously, lots of excitement. Over the past few years, I have treated, I think my record, the highest in the past 12 months is almost 60. So that means the average of 5 patients I put on in average months. So naturally, I encountered many patients who had their tumor melting away, and it's unbelievable. And oftentimes they're in tears, and so that's my happiest moment.
Yeah, for sure. I think that definitely just being able to bring that great news to the patient that they're, especially they've been through so much during their journey, that to be able to tell them, hey, the treatment's working, and that. And for me as a researcher, to be able to say that to a patient, and it's actually from the work that we did in the lab, because lab work can be very frustrating, but that one great moment, that one great result just wipes away all the frustrations. It just makes things that much better. Want to stress the importance of having a diverse patient population in the clinical trials, and because a lot of times you may have this very high impact clinical trial with great results, but if the patient population that's part of that trial are 90% Caucasian, then it might not be applicable to other ethnicities and other races. And then on top of that, a lot of times the treatments are based off of biology, right? But then there are other factors that come into play that can impact the results. And so we definitely need the social aspects, the environmental aspects of diversity in order to really know that a clinical trial is successful.
Absolutely.
And so for that reason, definitely need a diverse population of participants.
Right. And then on top of that, age used to be quite a barrier. A lot of people would tell you that once the patient reached the age of 80 and they're scared of doing that, but as long as their performance is great, and then I tell them that we're going to let you try. And one of my research projects is looking at how age is affecting the care of the patient. When you compare with those who got treatment, they just tend to get as good a benefit as other people. So what a pity. We have spent so much time develop wonderful trials and drugs, and then they end up not receiving it. There is a gap.
They should come to Markey for clinical trials over others because we have the infrastructure, we have the experience, and the trials that we run are going to be more complicated because of our experience.
Right.
I think some of the other trials out there may be more standard, simpler trials, whereas and the other piece I think too is we're able to perform trials that are really from our laboratory researchers, homegrown research, and so I think that is another advantage of coming to Markey. You have a broader portfolio of therapies that the patients would have access to potentially. My proudest moment was just after many years of being in the lab and doing a lot more bench work in the lab, to then see that work be translated into a clinical trial, because it does take some persistence to get there, and my mentors had said, Eddie, it's going to take some time for anything to come about, and when that trial was activated, I think was my proudest moment. I hadn't even enrolled a patient yet, but just the fact that was IRB approved and we were ready to enroll our first patient, I think was the most proudest moment for me, because it was probably about 5 years worth of work to get to that point.
My proudest moment was either after some time in research, and I discovered, for example, colon cancer patient, when you treat the patient in a specific way, you have opportunity to improve their survival. That's all coming from the research you have done. And the other proud moment would be, like Dr. Yang said, when my own clinical trial is launched, so that I can see whether that hypothesis is true or not, and can eventually help the patient. So that's maybe the happiest moment.